Now, Lisa and I are the same age, and she likes to talk about being old, but I refuse to acknowledge it. We'll just start with that. Good morning. I'm Gardner, Commonwealth's attorney for Alleghany County and Covington. I have been a prosecutor representing and working with victims for 30 years, thereabouts. In 1989, I tried my first jury trial as a prosecutor in Roanoke City while I was still in law school. After that, I served as an assistant Commonwealth's attorney in Roanoke City for many years. In 2005, I began serving as Chief Deputy Commonwealth's Attorney in Alleghany County and was later elected Commonwealth's Attorney in 2019. Along with 4 assistant prosecutors, I represent the citizens of Alleghany County, Covington, Clifton Forge, and Iron Gate in criminal cases. I have 3 of my assistants here today. These guys are down in the trenches, so I want to introduce them. Lauren Cassell, Sean Moran, and Scott Meyer. Now, because we represent the citizens of our community, we don't have a client sitting next to us in the courtroom like other lawyers do. However, we work very closely with the victims of crimes and their families because we have to establish and develop a rapport and a trust with those victims. Because what ultimately we do is we ask those people to relive and relay to us some of the scariest, most embarrassing, most traumatic events in their life. And then we go a step further often and we ask these folks to go in front of 12 perfect strangers and testify about the same thing. And that's not an easy thing to do. So the relationship that we forge with victims often lasts well beyond the trial, well beyond the year that the trial occurs. And I could give you 100 examples of that, but there are 2 that come to mind just to illustrate this point from my time in Roanoke, and I have many from Alleghany as well. But in 1994, we had an 8-year-old girl who was raped by her mother's boyfriend. She was 10 years old when she testified in front of a jury. I still remember her curled up in the chair late at night outside the courtroom, hungry, because her mother didn't have enough food for her. She couldn't afford to buy food for her. And my victim witness coordinator at the time found some pizza and gave her a pizza. The jury came back after midnight with a verdict of guilty. Now, I didn't see her for a while after that, and then years later, she showed up in my office one day out of the blue to thank me for what had happened years before and to let me know how well she was doing. She was in high school, she was running track, and she wanted me to know how well her life had turned out and what her plans were. And the other case that brings to mind is along about 2000, I got that Sunday afternoon, Sunday night phone call from my detective, and you guys know all about that because I get them from you all too. And he said, "You've got to meet me at Community Hospital first thing in the morning." So when I got off the elevator on the 10th floor at Community Hospital, I could hear the 4-week-old victim crying before I got to his room. When I got there, he was in what looked to me like a half-body cast. His father had tried to kill him. I held the victim that morning, and I worked closely with the foster mother who was caring for him going up to trial. Ultimately, his father was convicted of attempted capital murder and was sentenced to life. I stayed in contact with the foster mother, and that family later adopted him. I went to his first birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese, and it takes a lot for me to go to Chuck E. Cheese. But every year after that, his mother would send me his school picture and let me know how he was doing. So he stayed with me for years. The point in all this is the prosecutors are invested. Many people may not realize it, but we're invested in our cases. There's a reason we do what we do, and one of those reasons is to help victims. Their experience in the courtroom or in the criminal justice system can have a lasting impact on their lives. It takes a lot of time and patience to work with those victims. And we're fortunate to have Lisa Wheeler and her team of victim witness advocates to help us make that experience for the victims a positive experience. Lisa outlined a lot of the things they do. They schedule appointments, they go with the victims to court, help them with protective orders, even help them negotiate the parole board after the case is over. So this program here in Alleghany has grown a lot since I came here in 2005. It went from one person in 2005 to now we have 4 people in that office, and they are present not only in every court in Alleghany County, but also in Bath County and in Highland County. And on behalf of my office, and I'm sure on behalf of the Commonwealth's attorneys in those 2 counties, I want to thank Lisa and her team for helping us help the victims. Thank you.